components of the Power BI toolkit. So you interviewer may ask you what are the key components of the Power BI toolkit, and the simple answer to this is that there are five key components that we can tell. First one is Power Query, second is Power Pivot. So there are five key components of the Power BI toolkit. First one is Power Query, second one is Power Pivot, third one is Power View, fourth one is Power Map, and the fifth one is Power Q&A. Now, let us understand all these five components one by one. The first one will be talking about Power Query. I think you already know, if you are using Power BI desktop, you already know what is Power Query. So whenever we use Power BI desktop, the first thing that we do is we import the data. Okay, and whether it is an Excel file or whether we connect to the SQL, but extraction of the data, then transformation of the data and loading of the data, that is ETL process that we do for the data analysis, is being done using this Power Query component of the Power BI. Okay, that is the first thing. So I'm pretty sure that Power Query you know, right? So within Power Query, what do? We clean the data. So the whatever the data cleaning activities that we do, whether it is correction of columns, removal of unnecessary data, deletion of any data cleaning activity would be taking place into this Power Query component. The second component that we need to talk about is Power Pivot. So as we, if we have a look at the flow, like whenever we prepare any kind of report, the first thing that we do is we clean the data, that is we perform ETL process using Power Query. What is the next thing that we do? After the data is loaded, the next thing that we do is we build a relationship between the tables. Okay, so the activities like building the relationship between the tables, creating the measures, creating calculated columns using the DAX, obviously all these things we perform in the Power Pivot component of the Power BI. Okay, so until this point I hope you are clear. So we have the data model view wherein we perform all these things, right? We create relationships and then we create the calculated columns and measure, okay, use in this particular component, that is Power Pivot. What is the next step that we do when we create any dashboards? The next thing that we do is, after the data cleaning is done, after the relationships are formed between the various tables and measures or the calculated columns are created wherever required, the next thing that we do is we create visuals, charts, and these visuals are created on a Power View component of the Power BI. What is Power View? So we have report section wherein we create all these reports, and also we can create a dashboards using this Power Query, and when we can also publish these reports from this Power BI view section, and then once we publish, obviously those are available in the Power BI service. So Power BI view, to summarize, what do we do in Power BI? So Power View, if we summarize, what is Power View, it will create graphs. Sorry. So if you try to summarize Power View, it will create visuals, charts, reports, and also we can create the dashboards out of it, and ultimately we can publish these to Power BI service. So that's the third key component, which is Power View. The next component is Power Map. Now what is Power Map? Let's say we have got the data and that tells us about the population of the different cities. Let's say we have the population of India, and let's say there are different states within India, right? And if we want to represent these visuals per state wise based on the population data, now in order to achieve this, we can use the Power Map function, wherein there would be a graph, and visually on that graph we can represent in a more interactive way which city or which location, or let's say which state has got more number or less number of population, right? Which has got more or less population, that we can show using the Power Map. Okay, so basically what we do is geographic data or spatial data we can represent using this Power Map component. The last thing that we do is Power Q&A component. Now what does this component do? So if you try to understand Power Q&A, let's say you have created a graph, okay, and you can just using this power Q&A component, what you can do is you can ask in a normal, like we do every day, like we use everyday language. So using the everyday language we can ask power BI, okay, let's say I have the data, so what I can ask is, okay, give me the region wise report for this data. I can ask, like, depending upon the data that we have, we can request for the insights, and based on the everyday language request that we put, Power BI would come up with the charts or graphs. Sorry, come up with the Power BI would come up with the charts or plots or visuals based on the request that I make. So that's where Power Q&A comes into picture. Okay, how it will help? It will help based on the request. Like we use Chat GPT, we provide certain. Obviously, it's not that level. Like we use Chat GPT, we use everyday language and request some of the queries, and based on the request we put, a Power BI would give us the visuals. Okay, all right. So I am sure that this would definitely help you to answer the interview questions. Thank you so much for watching.